I'm going to start this video off with a public service announcement because I know that there is a vocal minority of no-coiners, or at least people that don't like when I cover crypto content on this channel. If you are thinking about purchasing a new hard drive, SSD, NVMe, or any other type of storage, go ahead and do it now, because there is a new cryptocurrency that has a lot of hype behind it, and it's going to be using hard drives to do the mining. So depending on how popular this crypto ends up being, depending on how lucrative it ends up being, we could end up seeing shortages and price hikes on digital storage, just like we're seeing on video cards right now. All depends on the supply and demand. That's economics 101. I know a lot of you out there, and I'm in this boat with you, wish that they would have known that there would be a huge crypto bull run a year ago, and if you could go back in time, you would probably pull the trigger on purchasing a new graphics card. So now, onto the crypto content. This new coin that I'm talking about is Chia. And this is a brand spanking new. The mainnet just launched about a month ago. It still isn't listed on any exchanges yet, so it's highly speculative at this point. You can't swap it out for any other cryptos or fiat at the moment, but this coin looks promising for a few reasons. First of all, it uses the Nakamoto consensus. It's one of the first coins to use this since Bitcoin. Chia is using proof of space and time, and this is created by Bram Cohen, who is one of the founding fathers of really decentralized technology. I mean, he's the creator of the BitTorrent protocol, and certain things like torrents wouldn't be possible without that. So this isn't looking like it's just another, random shit coin that's created by a random person. Chia also has smart contract capabilities with Chia Lisp, and as the name implies, it's a Lisp-like language for writing the smart contracts that are going to operate on the Chia network. So if you don't know about smart contracts, then I would recommend that you watch my Ethereum video, but basically they allow you to do a whole lot more with a cryptocurrency than something like Bitcoin, which doesn't have this capability. And the biggest appeal of Chia to me is probably the way that it's mined, or rather the way that it's farmed, because that's just the terminology that they prefer to use. So Chia, it doesn't use CPUs, GPUs, ASICs, nothing like that. It uses spare space that you have on your hard drive. And this is probably one of the best things that a cryptocurrency could do to try and enforce decentralization, because I don't know about you guys, but I don't have a Bitcoin ASIC. I don't know anybody who has a Bitcoin ASIC or an ASIC for any other cryptocurrency. And if you don't have a Bitcoin ASIC, then it's pretty much useless for you to even try and mine Bitcoin, because there's people in China that have massive warehouses full of ASICs that sound like a 747 constantly taking off just from the cooling system. Bitcoin is mostly centralized in China, and when something is centralized, there's a higher likelihood for fuckery to occur. And the same is true for Ethereum. Most of the mining comes out of China for that as well. The same is true for Monero, which is probably one of my favorite cryptos, but despite that, most of the mining is still done in China. So we don't have ASICs, we don't have spare GPUs or CPUs lying around. But what you probably do have is some storage space available on your hard drive. And even if you don't, like let's say, your hard drives are full, you don't have a big drive or whatever, you could probably go out and buy some. So like, for example, this Samsung solid state drive, this is pretty much top of the line as far as like SATA-based SSDs are concerned. Maybe there's some new type out there that's a little bit better than Samsung, but this is like traditionally the best SATA SSD. And you can see this is a 4 terabyte one, so this is like the largest size that you can pick, at least as far as consumer SSDs usually go, and it cost less than $500. If you wanted to get a big boy like this, so let's say you want to get a whole lot of storage space, this Seagate SATA drive 7200 RPM is this one's actually 16 terabytes. And again, this is like top of the line as far as consumer electronics. I don't think you can really find any hard disk drives that are more expensive or larger capacity than this. And again, it's $500. It's already back ordered. That's kind of funny. So yeah, like this is, these two drives combined is about $1,000, and they're both top of the line drives in their respective classes. Combined, these are still cheaper than a top-of-the-line graphics card. And that is assuming that you're actually getting the retail price for a graphics card. And I think we know at this point that that's borderline impossible. You're not, if you want a GPU now, you're not going to pay retail. You're going to pay, I think it's about a 120% markup on average. So there's very good decentralization potential with Chia. Now, of course, if companies like Google or AWS were to get on board with mining Chia, or farming Chia rather, on their spare hard drive space in their data centers, then it's going to be much harder to compete. But I do think that just because of how available hard drive space is, that competing with large corporations in terms of storage space is going to be easier for the people than competing with hash rates. But that's just my opinion. I've never worked in a data center or anything like that. So maybe if one of you guys have, you can leave a comment below and give us a bit more insight into what that might look like. Now, as far as how Chia farming actually works, imagine that you're writing a bunch of bingo cards to your spare hard drive space, and whenever a transaction comes up to be verified, a bingo number is called, and the first person to call bingo that has that card gets rewarded with some Chia. So there's pretty much two approaches that you can do based on my understanding, and you could do them at the same time if you want, because you can have multiple wallets going on multiple drives. But basically, you could get a drive like this, or even something better than this. Like you could get an Optane, Intel Optane PCIe drive, which I think has some of the fastest I/O out there, and like isn't even really considered a consumer part. But anyway, you could get something that's a little bit more limited in storage, so you're not going to be able to have as many bingo cards on it, but you'll be able to call bingo very, very quickly on an SSD or, of course, a PCI Express drive. Or you could go with something like this, where you're going to have really large amounts of storage space, 16 terabytes, but this is a spinning platter drive, so you're not going to be able to call bingo as quickly. You're pretty much with this method, you're more likely to just get the reward if you're like literally the only person in the world that has that particular bingo card. Or maybe if there's somebody out there with a 5400 RPM drive, you might be able to call bingo a little bit faster than them. So this concept is really similar to Burst Coin, but Chia actually solves the grinding issue that Burst Coin had by introducing proof of time. So you can't just rewrite your bingo cards over and over again to cheese the network like people did with Burst Coin, because there is a time barrier to writing those bingo cards. So yeah, hard drive mining that might actually work this time. And this also makes the barrier to entry for Chia a lot lower than other cryptos. That plus the farming application, it even works on Windows and the Mac OS. So you don't have to be a genius to get started with mining it, farming it. I gotta quit mixing those words up. Although I have seen during my research into Chia for making this video, some people are saying that they're getting better results on Nix-based OSs. So, there you go. That's another reason to use Linux, as if you needed any more reasons to use Linux over Windows. Now, another awesome thing about this coin, speaking both from a marketing perspective and an environmental perspective, is how eco-friendly this crypto is compared to others. So because of the fact that hard drives are used to farm Chia, the kilowatt hours that you are going to use are very low compared to your CPU, GPU, and most other PC components. Just ask anyone who mines crypto for a living, and they'll tell you that their power bill is ridiculous. And you can also mine Chia on the same drive that you're using for other stuff. So I really want to nail this point home. You don't have to go out and buy a bunch of SSDs or hard drives and create a Chia mining rig. You could use the same drive that your operating system is on or that your games are on, assuming that you have some spare space. You can specify how much space you want to use for your Chia plot so you don't have to worry about it just filling up your entire hard drive. Although I do think that you need at least 100 gigabytes available in order to get started, just with the way that Chia currently works. And then your other hardware requirements are really low. Like minimum supported specs that are required are a Raspberry Pi 4.0, quad core, 1.5 gigahertz CPU, and 2 gigs of RAM. So I'm pretty sure pretty much everybody that's watching this video has that, unless you're watching this on your toaster. So you could mine Chia or farm Chia and do your computing at the same time, and you won't notice a huge performance impact. While you're farming, maybe a map is going to load a little bit slower, or a program might take a few milliseconds longer to open, but it's not like trying to play games on a PC while mining ETH or Monero at the same time, because that's pretty much impossible. Like, you really can't do that. In Chia, it also won't create the problem that we see with ASICs in the crypto space, which is basically miners will go and buy ASICs, use it for a year or two, until a better ASIC comes out, and then that old one goes in the trash. It becomes e-waste because it's an application-specific integrated circuit. It only has one use. But if you decided that, I don't want to farm Chia anymore with a 12 terabyte hard drive, you could just do other things with it. You could start hoarding movies, Pepes, or hentai, whatever kind of data is important to you. And like I said, the eco-friendly aspect, it has really good marketability. A lot of people, especially young people, they jump all over a company's new product whenever they say it's environmentally friendly, because regardless of whether it is or not, that's just something that appeals to people. So don't be surprised if you hear some folks that wear Birkenstocks talking about their Chia farms in the granola section of your local Whole Foods. So there you go. That's a brief introduction to Chia. I'm probably going to look into mining this over the coming weeks, see if I can figure out the Chia meta, because since it's mined with hard drives, I'm not sure if there's going to be any performance differences depending on the file system that the Chia drives are provisioned with. And again, some people are claiming better performance, up to 20% better on Mac and Linux compared to Windows. So I would be really interested to figure out what exactly is driving that performance, besides it just being Unix based. Could even more performance get squeezed out of a Linux miner if I were to use a certain kernel, or maybe use BusyBox instead of GNU core utils? I haven't found any answers to those questions yet, so there will definitely be some Chia experimentation going on. Let me know in the comments below if you guys are interested in seeing videos about that. But that's it for this one, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great rest of your day.